52.
Yes, sir.
And are there some who have difficulty because of network?
Yes, sir. Like there are from the Odisha, they have internet issues today and yesterday also.
Are there some who have difficulty because of network?
Sorry, sir.
तो मेरा suggestion है आप सबको, I am making a suggestion to all of you that those who have problem of network, we are also webcasting it on YouTube. So all of you have the link of YouTube. So please have a look at the lecture at YouTube, which is easier to see. It takes less bandwidth than the live webcast, and raise your questions which you could not in the class because of network problem. As I had proposed, every day we will have an hour to clarify any doubt that any one of you has about any topic. So if there is any problem which you think I need to answer, then Megha or Swati will let me know, and I will get back to you and I will join at that time. So please do not let the network problems come in the way of learning. We are very keen that nobody is at a disadvantage, but we know that some of you are at disadvantage because of network problems. So please do not hesitate in letting us know after you see the YouTube recording, and let us know the questions that you have and we will clarify. You can mail me also, and I will be happy to respond to your questions, or all the questions I can put together in a session and spend half an hour with you whenever you would like to discuss this. So today we are talking about knowledge system and the need for having an ethical framework to deal with the knowledge of people with whom we work. So it is possible that many of you may not have had experience in collecting primary information from farmers, from tribal communities, from livestock people, from artisans, from mechanics. It is possible. If you had been here, we would have arranged your interaction with the knowledge holders. Megha, Chetan is online?
No, sir.
I would like that we arrange a discussion of these students with 2 or 3 knowledge holders.
Yes, sir.
Whose details, whose biodata and whose innovations or knowledge, traditional knowledge, we will share with them in advance. And then let them ask few questions directly.
Okay, sir.
So that will give them an idea as to how do people who solve problems with much less material or financial resources solve problems, and how do they think, how do they conceptualize a problem. So if they have a herbal extract for overcoming the problem of flatulence in the cattle, or if cattle has eaten unripened sorghum, immature sorghum, which causes aflatoxin or which causes flatulence or sometimes toxicity, then how do they find out that there is a problem of this kind, and how do they solve this problem? So their method of diagnosing and their method of solving problem, we will arrange a session when you can directly come in contact, at least virtually, with the knowledge holders, some who have developed an agricultural technology and some who have developed a livestock technology. So please keep in mind this. Now, coming back to the context of the discussion, that when we talk to people who are working around us, maybe in our home, as some of you might remember, in the assignment, you have documented the knowledge of service providers. Now, when you documented that knowledge, some of you have written the name of the person, and some of you have not written the name. So in the Honeybee network, if you remember, what did we say? We said that the Honeybee network provides the visibility. Let me show you the logo so that you can remember what did we say. So let me share the screen. So what did we say? We said that Honeybee Network gives voice, visibility, and velocity to the creative and innovative people. So a nameless, faceless person comes in contact with the network, gets an identity. Identity meaning name, location, the rights, knowledge rights of the people. In knowledge economy, what is most important is not how much land you have, how much wealth you have, but what kind of property that you own, intellectual property that you own. And intellectual property is not only what the professionals have, it is also what farmers, mechanics, or tribal people have. So we need to give voice. How do we give voice? We give them identity. We give them acknowledgement. We give them agency. So if, let us say, Amrut Bhai has developed a machine, or if Karim Bhai has developed a medicine for fever or for typhoid or something, then Karim Bhai is a person. He has a name. He has a place, Viramgaon, North Gujarat, our country, Banaskantha. So we need to give the place a name, identity. So people should not feel as if it is an anonymous person. Somebody gave me this information. No, somebody did not give you. A specific person has given you the information, or you have taken it from them. So voice. Visibility, of course, as we discussed, we need to give them authorship. We need to make their identity known to people. And velocity means we will have to provide them rapid, agile support in terms of validation or value addition, so that we can disseminate their ideas, if either a DIY, do-it-yourself solution, or as a solution that goes to the market, either them as an entrepreneur or some other entrepreneur. So all the transactions that take place between knowledge provider, knowledge processor, and knowledge user, there are three parts of this equation. Who is the provider? In this case, a community member, maybe individual or a group of people in a village or in a slum, or knowledge provider, or for that matter, in the backyard of my home, or service provider at my home, a driver, lift attendant, or somebody. Anybody can be a knowledge provider. My colleague can be a knowledge provider. So in my research paper, then I mentioned personal communication, Gupta 2021, personal communication, and then date. That means this idea I borrowed from my colleague, my friend, so-and-so, who mentioned this in the personal communication. It is not yet a published idea, but since this idea I have taken from this person or this colleague, I should acknowledge that person. So one is the knowledge provider. How do we take the ideas from the knowledge provider? Then knowledge processor. Knowledge processor can be organization like Srishti or Gyan or Honeybee Network or NIF. Institutions which process information, which provide annotation, which provide uniqueness. They do prior art search and find out how unique that knowledge is. And knowledge receiver. Knowledge receiver can be other farmers, other artisans, other mechanics, or it can be a company, in which case we'll have to sign an agreement. I'll come to that. It could be a public institution which wants to validate it, R&D lab, it can be company, it can be an entrepreneur, it can be a startup. You might find an idea very good. You want to set up an enterprise, but it is not your idea. It is the idea of someone else. Have you taken the consent of that person? That is a challenge that we will face. How do we take consent? How do we ensure that we do not misinterpret the intention of the knowledge provider? How do we ensure that when we exchange knowledge, people trust us? If people trust you, they will share more knowledge. If people distrust you, they will not share any knowledge. So up to here, I will stop. And any one of you has any question about what are we discussing, why it is important to discuss, please let me know. Any question that you have?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Sir,
afternoon.
I'm Vishal Kumar, and I had some doubt regarding sir a home experiment. Can I ask it now? If it
No,
is
toward the end, toward the end, toward the end.
okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I
Thank
will
you, sir.
answer those questions toward the end. All right, but I will certainly answer those questions. Don't worry about that. It's at this moment I'm asking for any questions that you have about the three actors in the knowledge system: the knowledge provider, the knowledge processor, the knowledge user, and the complexity involved in the relationship between the three actors. I want to highlight that issue. If there's no question, let us go further. So what has
I have
happened?
one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry. So, like you said, the knowledge processor and knowledge creator. So, I just have one question. Like, I want to work in a field of agriculture for a surplus crop that we have, and some crops we import from out of India. So, I want to work on that segment, that we should be self-sufficient in all kind of agriculture produce, because we have that capacity. As we say, we are an agriculturist nation. So there is a problem, like if we say aromatic plant like citronella and Pamarosa, but the technology is mostly owned by CMAP Lucknow, and I want that technology. But to create an enterprise, I have to get that technology, but I am not the creator. So what are the possible models which can be work, like for win-win situation?
Yeah. Now let us go a step backward. It is possible that when CMAP developed some technologies, some of the ideas, maybe 90% of the ideas, scientists developed on their own. But 10% of the ideas they might have got from farmers who were processing the citronella plant or some other aromatic plants. It is possible, isn't it? We can learn from farmers who process it or grow it. We can learn from them. Today, our first question is, when we, as a scientist, as a scholar, collect knowledge, after all, people have been doing something for a long time. And if they have been doing for something long time, they must have developed some knowledge. Then what is the protocol which should govern the relationship between knowledge provider, knowledge collector, and the knowledge facilitator or scout? Knowledge provider is the farmer. Knowledge facilitator may be a scout, maybe an NGO, which helps me to talk to the farmer. And knowledge collector is the scientist or the student of BIIS. Let us restrict ourselves to three actors now. So in this case, if the NGO had not pointed out the connection with the farmer, you wouldn't have been able to know which farmer to talk to for getting knowledge about the aromatic plant. You can't go to every farmer. You would obviously like to go to those who are famous for their cultivation of these plants, who have some special knowledge about how to keep the pest control, how to manage pest control, how to manage water, how to make sure that the aroma is maximized and not affected. Please switch off your video. Organic farming, कौन है ये? आपका वीडियो बंद कर लीजिए. कौन है? मेगा? देख लीजिए कौन है.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, कोई गलती से तो नहीं ज्वाइन कर लिया, देख लीजिए. So it's very important that we ensure that whosoever knowledge we collect, we have a proper protocol. So when we develop prior informed consent, it took us many years to develop the concept of prior informed consent. What is the meaning of prior informed consent of the primary knowledge provider? Knowledge provider can be individual or it can be a community, and we will deal with both issues. If it is an individual, is that individual the producer of the knowledge or practitioner of the knowledge or both? And is it a traditional knowledge, something that he got from his grandparents or elders, or this is something that he has discovered himself first time by doing an experiment? So one question is it knowledge of the individual or collective? Second question is it the knowledge which has been learned from the grandparents or previous generation? or has he made any improvement in that, or has he developed it first time by his own experiment, by his own ingenuity? That is second question. Third, whether we have, we meaning the scholar or the scientist, have reached this farmer directly by our own effort, or has somebody helped us? If somebody has helped us, that somebody who made us connect with the farmer, we have to acknowledge that somebody. It could be a village level worker, it could be extension worker, it could be a teacher, it could be a farmer, it could be NGO, it could be anybody who has helped us to connect, जिसने हमको जोड़ा उन किसान से, जिसने हमें रास्ता दिखाया, उनका भी हमें सम्मान करना है, उनका भी मान देना है, उनको भी हमें पहचानना है. So, first question, individual or collective. Second, traditional or contemporary. Third question, directly or through some intermediary. Fourth question, please make notes. आप लोगों के पास पेन पेंसिल है? जरा ऑन करो सब लोग अपना वीडियो. वीडियो ऑन करो, दिखाओ मुझे. दिखाओ. हाथ में दिखाओ अपनी नोटबुक दिखाओ मुझे. हाँ, आपके पास है. टीना दिखाओ, कनिष्का दिखाओ, पल्लवी दिखाओ. जल्दी फटाफट 1 मिनट के अंदर. हाँ, ठीक है. बच्चों, बुरा नहीं मानना, लेकिन मैं पुराने जमाने का मास्टर हूँ भाई. मुझे क्या लगता है, बच्चों कभी आलसी हो जाते हैं. आलसी होंगे तो आपको सब कुछ याद रहेगा नहीं याद रहेगा तो फिर मेरा पढ़ाना बेकार हो जाएगा. ठीक है ना? ठीक है बच्चे, ठीक है कनिष्का. So my purpose was that remain alert. So can anybody summarize what are the 3 points I have said so far? श्वेता, बताइए. श्वेता, मैंने क्या कहा अभी तक? What are the 3 dimensions of prior informed consent that I have discussed? Please tell me. श्वेता, अनम्यूट करो अपने को. हाँ, बताओ. Louder.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I was not pretty sure like how to frame and all.
श्वेता, देखो, आपका ध्यान अगर कहीं और था ना बच्चे, तो ये फेयर नहीं है. आपके लिए भी फेयर नहीं है, मेरे लिए भी फेयर नहीं. I don't want to teach someone who is not attentive. क्या मतलब हुआ? मैंने आपको क्यों पकड़ा? इतने साल के बाद पढ़ाते ना मुझे अंदाजा हो जाता है इंट्यूटिवली.
No, sir.
मेरे पास कोई फार्मूला नहीं है. जस्ट आई गेट ए फीलिंग. यार, इस बच्ची ने शायद इसका ध्यान कहीं और है.
No, sir. I'm sorry.
चलो, कोई बात नहीं. शाश्वत, आप बताएंगे? शाश्वत पटनायक, can you tell me what are the 3 questions I have raised about the prior informed consent? शाश्वत, अनम्यूट कीजिए अपने को. शाश्वत, अनम्यूट कीजिए, प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ. शाश्वत, हाँ बोलिए. शाश्वत, क्या प्रॉब्लम क्या आपको? यू आर नॉट स्पीकिंग, यू आर नॉट देयर, देन आई विल रिमूव यू. Am I host, co-host?
Yes, sir.
Shashwat is removed. Anybody who is not present here mentally, fully, doesn't have to be in the class. You can take leave. You can come and attend another class. If this class is not interesting, don't attend. No compulsion at all. But I would not like to have anyone in the class who is not with me. Vaishnavi, bataiye please. Tell me, what have I said so far? 3 questions that I said. Vaishnavi, can you please tell me? I have mentioned 3 dimensions of knowledge exchange. Yes? Yeah, go ahead.
So you've been telling us whether the ideas of we are presenting are from our ancestral views or we have been directed of our own, and what are the details we've been going on through the project, and if we are working for the agricultural issues and we are dealing with the agricultural issues, then we should know the side effects and consequences, and we have to even deal with the farmers also. We have to think about on their views, and That's how I think so far, sir.
No, I think that means I'm not communicating very clearly. I don't blame you. It is a feedback to me that my thoughts are not communicated very well, so that you missed the key points. I mentioned three things. First was, when we collect knowledge from anybody, we, the outsider, collect knowledge from anybody, be it a farmer or an artisan or a mechanic or a servant in my home or anybody, then whether that knowledge belongs to individual or the community, correct? That is the first question.
Okay, sir.
Second question is, has this knowledge been developed by that person or that group on their own, or has it been passed on from the previous generation in the traditional way? Is it a traditional knowledge, or is it a contemporary knowledge, knowledge produced in the recent past, 5 years, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Or is it yes, Vaishnavi, go ahead.
Sir, you just mentioned that the knowledge which is being carried, which is being taken from the other person, would be in their point of view that that person has gained the knowledge, or that person has received the knowledge from other.
Correct. Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Okay,
You're right. Yeah, because what happens, we have to give credit to the knowledge producer, knowledge communicator, and knowledge connector. Knowledge producer is the one who developed the knowledge. Now, if this is a traditional knowledge, then we would not know when was it developed in the past. But we would know that there is a community. Generally, the traditional knowledge is collectively owned. That community owns this knowledge. In that case, we have to take the consent of the community leaders, community elders. And I'll come to that. The third question is whether it is in. Yes, go ahead.
So
Go
can
ahead.
you please the second point once again?
First was whether knowledge belongs to individual or group. Second, is it of recent origin, or is it passed on from one generation to another? Is it a traditional knowledge, or is it a contemporary knowledge? Correct?
Yes, sir.
What is the third point I said? Is there any facilitator who has connected me to the knowledge provider? So if there is a scout, there is an NGO, there is an institution which has connected me to the knowledge provider, I have to acknowledge the knowledge facilitator also. Correct? Now comes fourth question. The knowledge provider may be illiterate. If knowledge provider is illiterate, can I then take the consent in a form? What should I do if knowledge provider is illiterate? What should I do? Anybody?
Sir, we should take someone from their surrounding, like a person, and through him we will get all the knowledge what he has to share with us, because he will be knowing how to communicate with him easily. And
No,
via
that is
that,
okay, but I have to take the consent of the knowledge provider. I have a witness, all right. But should I ask him to put thumb impression on a form? Is that all right?
no,
Or what else should I
will
do?
sir, it will
So we
it may show some negative effect also, because अगर हम डायरेक्टली थंब ले लेते हैं उनसे, तो उनको लगेगा कि ये कुछ गलत ना कर दे, क्योंकि वो ऐसे भी इलिटरेट है, उनको ज्यादा इन्फॉर्मेशन है नहीं. सो पहले हमें उनको अच्छे से जानकारी देनी पड़ेगी, उनको बताना पड़ेगा कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं और इनसे उनका क्या फायदा होगा. उसके बाद फिर जो प्रोसीजर है हम उसको फॉलो कर सकते हैं, फैसिलिटेटर और कनेक्टर वाला, उनकी मदद से हम उनको यूज कर सकते हैं. Am I right, sir?
नहीं, लेकिन पहले हम जब डॉक्यूमेंट करेंगे उस समय ये ध्यान रखना है कि जो नॉलेज है वो, then we are documenting it and we are telling the person, look, I want to confirm whether I have understood right. The person will say, okay, tell me.
Informed consent, sir.
Huh?
Oral informed consent, we can record.
We can record, exactly. We may have to take a video PIC, video prior informed consent. You understand? Video prior informed consent we'll have to take. That's very important, very important. Otherwise, that consent will not be valid. It will not be acceptable, because this consent has not come through the informed. Now, what is the meaning of informed consent? The informed consent means that the implications of saying yes or no to a question are known to the innovator. You understand? उनको पता है कि अगर मैंने yes कहा या no कहा तो उसका क्या implication. Let us go to one form. Let me show you the form, and you will realize what I'm saying. Now, I'm sure you can see the form here. You can all see the form?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is a form. The consent given in this form is valid only if the knowledge is unique. Supposing that knowledge is already documented, published in some research paper. Somebody has gone in the past, collected knowledge, published it, became public domain. Knowledge now is known to everybody. When knowledge is known to everybody, can I put restriction on its use? Can I put restriction if it is already known to everybody?
No, sir.
I
No, sir.
cannot. So we have to communicate. What happened in the past, many people went to the villages or to the tribal area, collected the knowledge, published paper, they became the author. The people who provided knowledge remained unknown. They remained nameless, faceless. So the whole discipline of ethnobotany, unfortunately, became a discipline of extraction, exploitation of the knowledge-rich, economically poor people. The ethnobotany became a discipline of exploiting people and their knowledge without giving them any acknowledgement, without making them co-author, without giving them any benefits. This was most unethical. You agree? If somebody comes to you, you give an original idea, I take that idea and publish a paper in my name. How would you feel?
Bad.
Bad? This is exactly what the profession has done for all these years. For more than 7, 8 decades, 10 decades in the world, a lot of scholars, unfortunately, very unfortunately, have documented the knowledge, brought it in public domain. They became the author. Imagine now I'm giving a lecture. One of you uses the recording, transcribes it, converts it into an article, and publish it in his or her name. But ideas were not that student's idea, was of the professor. But that the student publishes an article. That is exactly what scientists were doing. They were going to people, documenting their knowledge. They were becoming the author of the knowledge, which is, whereas they were only chronicler, they were only collector. They were not the author. Author is the one who produces the knowledge. You understand? So we were very unhappy with this practice. This seemed to us very unfair, very unjust. So when Honeybee Network started, this was the first practice which we wanted to undo. So my colleagues will share with you a copy of Honeybee or 2 or 3 copies of Honeybee. You will notice that in most places, we have acknowledged not only the farmer, but also the scout through whom we have got the knowledge, or the institution through whom we have got the knowledge. In most of the cases. Some cases, if it is not known, we have taken the knowledge provider's name, but maybe the scout is not provided because the institution may have collected directly. That's okay. So very important that we first recognize the limitation of the prior informed consent framework, which is that the constraints given in this, you see it is written here, let me take the last sentence. We understand that if the innovation provided by you or traditionally provided by you is already well known and is public domain, then neither the restriction on its application will apply, nor the condition of this form will apply. Isn't it? Because in that case, we cannot restrict anything, how knowledge should be shared, how knowledge should be utilized, whether benefit should be given back to you or your community. All this will become irrelevant if knowledge is already in public domain. So let us go back. So first thing is, we ask the person, the knowledge that you are providing us, can we give your contact detail to those interested in your idea? Yes or no? What is the harm if we say yes? So informed consent is I have to tell him the consequences of saying yes or the consequences of saying no. When you say yes, The advantage is somebody else can contact you directly. So they will come and say, Vaishnavi, we found your knowledge about control of flatulence or control of eczema very useful. I have a company. I want to develop a product based on your knowledge. I will give you 10,000 rupees. And Vaishnavi will say, all right. Vaishnavi may not know what the worth of the knowledge is. So the positive advantage is that the entrepreneur or industrialist can directly come to you without intervening, without intervention of NIF or Honeybee Network or Srishti or anybody. The negative side is that you may not know the full worth of your idea. When we negotiate, we will try to get you as much as we can. We'll highlight how important this knowledge is, what is the difference between this knowledge or product based on this knowledge and the available products in the market. So you will get some additional advantage. So informed consent is you should know the pros and the cons of saying yes or no, and then give your answer. Can we publish your idea in the magazine or any other media? No. If we publish, it becomes public domain. Then you don't get any intellectual property right, because it becomes prior art. It becomes already known to people. Anything which is already in public domain cannot be patented. So you can decide, I don't care about patent. I want my knowledge to be known to everybody. Fair enough. All right. The consequences is that if somebody develops and then makes a product out of it, nothing will come to you. Are you okay with that? Yeah, it's all right with me. I can say that. Or I'll say, no, that will not be fair. I want some share out of it. If you want some share, then we don't say yes, say no to the publication. Then we can't publish it. Third, to what extent do you want to disclose it? Completely, partially, you can decide. And under what condition? Only on commercial term. That means if somebody is willing to pay, only then the person should get your knowledge, free of cost, or any other condition. Now, it is possible that condition, nobody may come forward to take your right. It's possible. But it is also possible that we may find some licensee who wants to use your knowledge and is willing to pay for it. We have licensed many technologies. Almost 60, 70 technologies have been licensed. Srishti had licensed. Did we share with them the experience of the Herbavate as yet or no? Nega?
No, sir, we'll discuss it with them about the products. Yes.
You have not shared. When are you planning to share?
Sir, when we'll discuss about Srishti's product, we'll share with them.
Okay, let me see if I can share with them one example of.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So sorry for the interruption. Actually, I'm having a doubt, which was I last learning for a bit.
Go ahead.
It's that like the people who are having knowledge and they have the idea.
Yes.
Is it that why can't they take a lead and they have their own startup or something, like they share their knowledge with subset of people?
You mean to say that why can't they do directly themselves? Why should they need us? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir, exactly. Like why they need another particular big organization to lead them or something. Why can't they take a lead?
Very good.
And have a set of people? Shweta, sir.
Shweta, very good question. Very good question. Ideally, that is what should happen. But historically, the people who had knowledge were very generous. They were very kind. So what happened? They will share their knowledge with anybody who came to them, just like ethnobotanist or ethnobiologist. They did not realize that people who often come to them they don't take their consent, they don't acknowledge them, they don't share any benefit, and they remain where they were. So when we set up Honeybee Network, we realized that this is an unfair game going on. Just because people are kind, people are generous, therefore they should remain poor, and we are greedy, we are selfish, so we become rich. That is not the way we want the world to be. So ideally, you are right. People should be able to negotiate on their own, but do they have the capacity? Do they know how to negotiate? Do they have enough advocates or people to draft agreement on their behalf? You understand the
So
point?
it's that like once we need to give a try at least so that we can go for the documentation or any sort, or else someone coming asking their idea and then it's done with us.
So that's exactly
It's
the
like
point.
copying. It's like copying from them.
Yeah, it's a plagiarism. It's a plagiarism. You're right. So let me share with you. Let me share with you one case study of how we essentially did that in one particular case. Let me show you. Let me come back. Yeah. So this is a product. This product, how was it developed? This is a product which a company has brought to the market. So this was developed in our lab by pooling the knowledge of 6 districts, 6 communities in 6 districts of Gujarat: Sabarkantha, Panchmahal, Dang, Mehsana, Patan, Bhavnagar. And all the 6 communities had knowledge about skin diseases. 7 people and 6 communities. And they had knowledge about how to treat skin diseases. But none of them individually or none of the solution alone were as powerful or as effective as the combined formulation based on their knowledge. So what did our lab do? We did many things. We extracted, we blended it, formulated it, we put a carrier, we put something that will not let the formulation degenerate, shelf life. We also developed the biomarker. My colleagues will show you the detail. For each ingredient, we identified the biomarker so that when we formulate the product, not each raw material, each time when we collect a particular herb, it will not have the same content or same percentage of the active ingredient, isn't it? So sometime it will be more, sometime it will be less. Let us assume azadirachtin is a compound extracted from neem. Suppose we were using neem. Now, not all samples of neem that we use from batch to batch will have the same percentage of azadirachtin as a compound. So supposing when we do the marker compound, we find that proportion is less, we have to increase the raw materials share in the formulation to keep the active ingredient in the same proportion. I don't know if you are following what I'm saying. Is it clear to you, some of you? Are you able to follow what I said just now? Why do we need biomarkers? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Anybody couldn't follow? Anybody who didn't follow? The need. Why do we need biomarkers?
Could you please repeat it once?
Yeah, let me repeat.
Thank you.
So whatever ingredient is involved in the formulation, let us say we need 100 gram of X, 200 gram of Y, and 300 gram of Z. Let us say 3 plants, X, Y, Z. Now 100 gram we are taking because the active ingredient is 10%, in second 20%, third is, let us say 30%. But when we took the second batch, after making the first batch of, let's say, 5,000 tube, when we made second batch, we got the raw material of X, Y, Z. In X, it was only 8% active ingredient. In Y, it was 15%. C, Z, it was only 20%. So then we will have to change the ratio, the quantity that we will have to add per 1,000 ml of water or whatever oil that we are using as a emulsifier. So to keep the formulation constant from batch to batch, otherwise the effect will not be uniform to the customer, to the patient, we need to have biomarkers, markers which are correlate closely to the compound, of the healing property of that plant, and which are measurable, which can be extracted, which can be If we do a electrophoresis separation, we can see where is the peak coming, how much it is there, we can quantify it, and thereby calculate how much of that material should be combined in the tube. Is that clear?
Yes.
To keep the ratio of the constituent constant. So then we invited, the company invited, Troika Pharmaceutical invited the community representatives at the time of launch of product. And whatever royalty comes every year from the sale of these products is sent by SASTI as a money order to all the 6 committees for whatever they want to do with it. They want to use it for education of the children. They want to use it for some common activity, whatever. So this is one area where not only we took the prior informed consent, but we also implemented the consent faithfully in giving back the benefits. In this case, 100%. SASTI does not keep any part of the money order that comes. It's not a very great amount, whatever comes, but which is divided equally into 6 committees and sent to them. And they get this money order. So what I'm trying to say, that even though knowledge may have been committee, we ask the committee to select representative who will sign the agreement, who will be the representative of the community. And then this person and the committee among themselves decide how they will use the money which will come to them. So prior informed consent, let us go back to the form. So prior informed consent mentions of whether it is to be shared on commercial terms, free of cost, anything. Then we ask a question, would you like NIF, SASTI, or GAN, or Honeybee Network to add value to your idea? Because if we don't have permission from them, then how do we improve it? And then, would you like us to mediate on your behalf for commercial developing business plan, market research, technology transfer? We take their permission. Would you like us to protect the intellectual property right if applicable? And after all of this, name and address of the innovator or the communities, collaborator or scout, and then decide. If it is a video PIC, we will come to the video PIC. So what have I said so far? Any question about that?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, as you have told now that SISTI or NIF or Honeybee, what it does that if they have collected any idea, so and if there is any intellectual property right involved in it, so they will file a patent for them. So filing a patent will require a certain amount of money. So for that, are we charging those people, or like we are doing it for free?
Very good question. All the patents that have been filed, let me show you the list of them, just a minute. NIF has filed about 1,000 and odd patents. Let me show you these patents. Let me go to the some of the patents.
Yes, sir. Today, sir has shown this patent list. 1,000 has been filed and 300 is granted something, or 700 is
correct. And did you find any other name than that of the innovator? No.
Sir, I didn't.
Yeah, no, I'll show it. I'll show it to you. I will show it to you. No. Where is the file? Here, this is the one. So if you see here, Pushprata Sakya, way back in 2002, she's a healer in Assam. She gave us a formulation for healing bone fractures. Patent was filed in the name. It was later on found that it was well known already, so we had to withdraw in this case. But otherwise, patent was, this one has been granted, this different patents. So if you look at these patents, they have been filed all in the name of individual innovator. No scientist of NIF, SASTI or GAN will be co-author, number one. Number two, these have been filed by with the help of different companies, Anand, DP Ahuja. He was the one who helped us to file first patent. And then many others. All of these people don't charge us for their time. They charge us only the amount to be paid to the patent office. So our average cost is about 15,000. or 20,000 at best. As against, if you go to a market, a private lawyer, IP firm, they will charge minimum 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs for a patent. We have not paid more than 15,000 or 20,000 rupees. So money was paid by Government of India, in this case to NIF, to file patents. So public money was used to create a private right of the innovator. When Srishti filed 3 patents in US, and these were for machines, I will show you.
Sir, why do we file patents in US? Like we have our own IPR service. So is there any difference in filing abroad or filing those patents here in India?
Yes, of course. Depends. Whichever patents are sovereign right, as you know, they are valid in each country where it is filed. All right. So
Yes.
let me show you Mansukh Bhai Jagani. Now this is a patent. Let me show you. In this case, so this is a patent which was filed in 2002, granted in 2005. In this case, assignee was Srishti because the company that filed for us, they did not charge us fees, and their rule was that if they do it for non-profit, then they can do it free. So we said, all right, we will faithfully protect the right. Now, what was our hope? Our hope was that this machine, that is three motorcycle-based plowing machine, might be used in grape gardens in California, and some company might license it there. Did not license, that's a different matter, but we hoped. So it was filed in 2002, it was granted in 2000, published it for 2003, granted in 2005, and this patent is all given here. You can go to the US Patent Office, write 6854404, and you will get the whole patent. So we have filed patent. US Srishti was the first organization in the world to file patents for individual innovators in US to prove that Indian innovators can develop solutions which are not anticipated, which means which are not part of the prior art even in United States of America. That means we could do something that nobody in that country had ever done it. Otherwise, why would they grant the patent to us? You see the point? So we have filed patents in India and abroad, and in none of the cases, fortunately for us, anybody charged us the commercial fees, not even in US. And they have been very kind to file patents at practically zero fees, just a little bit of charging fees. Even that they did not charge in US. In India, they did. So is the question answered? The point
Yes,
is
sir.
that these patents are filed not because we want to come in the way of fellow farmer learning from each other. No, we want to file patents so that if some company wants to license it, then they can exclude other companies from copying their product. You understand? So farmer to farmer copying is allowed and encouraged, but farmer to firm is through licensing. That is what we call as technology commons. So we don't use patent right or patent issue grant against fellow community members. If Mansukh Bhai Jagani has developed this machine and other farmers will copy it, and there are 200 people who are making it, we have no problem with that. There's a lot of solutions required by the community. Mansukh Bhai alone cannot meet the demand. Let other people also make it, no problem. But if Mahindras would like to develop this, they will have to take a license. We will not let them copy like that. So this is the concept. So let me summarize what I said so far. We have 2 different forms of PIC, for innovation separate, for traditional knowledge separate. My colleagues will circulate these forms to you today. And they are available at Gyan website, also at NIF website. Please download and circulate to all of them by email. Okay, Megha?
Okay, sir.
Please send them 3 things. The 2 forms and the background note. Background note gives them an idea what I mentioned, what is the implication of saying yes, what is the implication of saying no. All that is explained in the background note. So they should also read the note. Once you need that, you would read that, you will understand that the prior informed consent in so much of detail was developed by us first time, even though the Convention on Biological Diversity said that we should take prior informed consent. But the framework was not developed. Framework was developed by us way back in 93, 94, 95. And later when 2000 and I was set up, it borrowed the concept from Srishti and institutionalized it. So that is how the concept of prior informed consent evolved. Currently, I'm chairing a committee of CSIR so that in future, even if CSIR labs have to take any knowledge, they will have to follow the concept of prior informed consent. And imagine after all these years, first time now it is going to become obligatory for scientists to follow PIC. Yes. Well, this is, no. You cannot apply for patent on something granted in one country in another, because when prior art search is done, the first patent will be visible. So that will become prior art. When something is already known, how can you get patent on that? You cannot.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, I have a question.
Pramit? Bolo.
Sir, is there a proper database that proper transparency can be followed, and if there is not, so how can we be so sure that our like for example today morning they said that indigenous technical knowledge cannot be patented. Sir, so is there a proper database so that we can follow, and how can
let me correct that statement. It is wrong to say that indigenous technical knowledge cannot be patented. We can say traditional knowledge cannot be patented.
Yes, sir, traditional knowledge, sir.
Yeah, the word used must have been traditional knowledge in our Patent Act. Now, what do we do when we file patents on behalf of farmers or tribal people? We don't claim that it is traditional knowledge. If it is not published before, it is known to one person or one community or one healer. There is no record that it was already available in the country. We will not mention that. We just mention this is the claim of the innovator. If anybody has any proof, that let the patent office to show us the publication. Patent office role is to examine the application, and if they find any prior art, which means if any publication on the subject, they will reject our application. We could get patents in India and in US. Even TKDL opposed our application for a patent for a Jharkhand person, tribal person in US. We succeeded. They could not succeed because they mentioned in the reference only fever, and we had given a specific kind of fever, the typhoid, which was different from normal fever. And they couldn't show any reference to typhoid. So US government, US Patent Office rejected the submission of TKDL and maintained our application, and we were granted that application. So traditional knowledge per se cannot be patented, but why would we call it traditional knowledge if we are going to file a patent in the name of innovator? Then we claim it as an innovation. And since it is not known to be word before, our claim of it as an innovation goes through, and it has gone through in large number of cases. 300 granted applications, granted patents show, and many of them are herbal. They show that patent office has accepted our contention. So that's it. So, but remember that patents are filed for very small share of the total knowledge that we have. Very small part. Yes, go ahead.
Sir, actually, I meant to say that, sir, if, for example, innovation that was done in 2002, but due to improper implementation, it could not be, like, it was not registered in the database at first place. So how can we, like, challenge it? We cannot challenge it, no? Like
anything which is not available, which is not reasonably accessible, cannot be challenged. I mean, cannot be the prior art. So either it should be published in a book, which is there in the public library. It should be published in a database, which can be searched, whether the database is paid or unpaid, that doesn't matter. Or we should have some record on the internet or somewhere of it being there in public use. Either there is a product which is selling in the market, that also is a prior art. There's a cream already selling with these ingredients, then we cannot get a patent. there is a publication, then we cannot get a patent. And there is a book in which it is mentioned, then we cannot get a patent. But if none of this is there, and patent office cannot show us anything prior in the publication, prior art, then we can. So you are right that I cannot go to every library, every institution, every community, every village of India. There are 650,000 villages. सबके पास थोड़ी जाऊंगा पूछने के लिए कि आपके पास ये knowledge है कि नहीं. If I am a farmer and if Srishti helps me to file my application, then I would be very happy if somebody helps me to get a right. I may not know what the value of that right is, but if somebody finds a licensee for me and I get some economic reward, which helps my children to get better education, my community to get better school building, why not? Why not? So, but remember, in BIIS, all the solutions that we are developing will be open source. We will not let anybody file any patent on any solution that we develop. Publications with prior written permission you can, with the co-authorship of the innovator and anybody else who has contributed. But patent we will not, because we want that this should also promote, or should mainly promote, open source solutions which can lend themselves to enterprise, but not monopolistic enterprise. So let us say 5 people want to make a particular cream, they can make it and sell it in their own local economy, wherever they want to, that's fine. Some of them will succeed, some of them will fail, that's okay. But so far, we have not let any patent be filed on the knowledge that we have provided to you. Now, if we have to file the patent, it will be only in the name of the farmer or healer or the pastoralist. You will not be co-author of that knowledge. Your contribution will be acknowledged for adding value. You can write a paper, research paper, and many BIIS participants have published papers with the consent of the farmer, the knowledge provider, and the institution like Srishti. And that we allow in as many cases as possible. We are very liberal in that regard because we want you to grow in your life, but grow in an ethical manner. You should share your findings with the people in local language. So if it's a Gujarati farmer, then all it should be shared in Gujarati language. If it's a Oriya farmer, it should be shared in Oriya language. Second, we should take their consent, that will they like us to publish. Third, we should tell them how they can use this knowledge, if it is possible. So that if they want to set up an enterprise on their own, let them set up an enterprise. It should not happen that we take their knowledge, add value as a part of our BIIS program, we become the entrepreneur, but they don't get anything out of it. That will be unethical, isn't it? So when we sign agreement with them, we will agree to share the benefits with them. And it can be exclusive, non-exclusive, I will not get into that. Any other question before we close this part and we'll come to the home experiments? Anybody has any question about prior informed consent? Happy, brief, simple, but still, yes, Arva.
I have a question about the lookalikes. For example, paracetamol we get like 16 rupee also, and another brand I can get for 700 rupees also. So if we have an idea which we can, which is pre-existing in a community, for example, they make some paste, haldi ka and all that, and you escalate, you obtain particular chemicals out of it, and then you if there is a bacteria, you culture it, subculture it, and make a defined product. So now it's a kind of a lookalike, but it's much more scalable. So in that regard, how do we give the credit back to the community? Like include
yes,
them?
Yes, anything for which that, see, there are, let's say, 43,000 species of plants in our country, okay? Yes. And if you go to screen all of them to find it effective against some kind of inflammation, you will need huge resources, lot of time, and lot of people. But the healer gave you 5 plants, said these are very effective. So instead of 43,000, you're now focusing on 5. So search cost, screening time has been saved. Who saved it? Healer, not you. You didn't know about those 5.
Yes, sir.
Correct? So now you have 5. In 5, each one of them, there are 250 different compounds, maybe, let us say, 300 compounds. You isolated the one which was relevant, which was important. Good for you. You will be the author of the publication if it is you are reported it first time. But please remember, original connection between the source, that is plant, and treatment of the problem or the disease, that is the inflammation space, was made. That R&D was done by the farmer or by the healer, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
What you have done is you have made that connection more efficient and more effective, and maybe more economical by using less quantity and having more effect. That is possible. And in some cases, you can even synthesize that compound. So you may not need the raw material anymore. But where from the lead came? The lead came from the person or the community, isn't it? So my suggestion is, very often we downplay the contribution that people make. Oh my God, they had thousands of plants. How did they select these 5? How much of research they would have done? We think that research is not important. But that is a very critical research. It saved me millions and millions of rupees, which I would have had to spend. National Cancer Institute of US screened 35,000 plants, and out of them found 5, of which
Colchicine.
the famous plant, what was the name?
Sir,
One from which we get developed at Texas Bicata. What is the name? What do you call it? The Texas Bicata, the found in Taxol. The
Yes, it's
Taxol, but that
for
was out
cancer.
of 35,000 plants. One from India, from Dehradun Valley, 4,000 to 5,000 feet. Of course, when Himalaya, Dabur exported that, they cut away all the trees there. That's unfortunate. But what I'm trying to tell you is, who made the connection? That community, did they get anything? No. The community which told that Texas Bicata can be used for cancer did not get anything out of it. Do you want that kind of world to live in, where somebody will take advantage of your knowledge and not give you anything back at all? Is that a fair world?
No, sir. Sir,
That's
then
what
we legalize royalty giving, like
correct. Give royalty to the community and not just to one village. If there are 50 villages, I will share with you a document on benefit sharing. You can find it on the net. I will share the reference with you. This is available for free download, which was circulated to 135 countries by WIPO, and you can download it freely. So let me give you the reference. Whole PDF you can download. So there's a case study of Pani tribe. India. There are 4 case studies that I studied, and this is one of them. Let me put it in the chat. कोई क्लासेस के बाद देगा? This is the
No,
PDF.
sir. No, sir.
Okay. So this is the PDF. You can download that. And why am I mentioning this here, my dear friends? That we have documented in very great detail. So what happened? Kani tribe, many communities in that island near Thiruvananthapuram, there is a lake around which these tribal people lived. There were 3 Kanis who told to Dr. Pushpan Gadam and Dr. Reddy when they were walking in the forest, they were not getting tired, but Dr. Pushpan Gadam, very famous botanist of our country, former director of NBRI, National Botanical Research Institute, and TBGRI, was getting tired, so he was gasping for the breath. Then he said, "What are you chewing?" And they were chewing some leaves. They said, "Give me the leaves also." So he also took the leaves. He got some energy out of it. He said, "That's very interesting. What is it?" Arogya Pacha, they called it. Jeevani drug was developed out of it. And this whole story is given in this case study, which you can read from here. So, yes, then Ari Vaideshala in Kottayam, Kottakkal, sorry, in Kerala, licensed this drug, and they paid about 25 lakh rupees. 50 lakh out of this, or 25 lakh, 50% for the institute and 50% for the scientist. Scientists did not take any share out of it. They gave their share to the Kani tribe. Then he talked to me, Dr. Pushpani, and he said, Anil, what should we do? They will blow away this money otherwise, and they may use it for liquor or something. I said, why don't you make a trust fund? So then he made a trust and transferred this money to the trust. And trust will decide whose education should be paid for, whose health should be paid for. They will decide the need and they will collectively decide and then use it. Then they get second round of money came from the same company. That was also divided 50-50. The scientists did not take one penny from this for themselves. They gave their entire share to the trust. So this is the one case where a very viable model was developed by a public sector lab, in this case, TBGRI, Tropical Botanical Research Garden of India in Thiruvananthapuram. So models are available, you can read about them, and royalty can be shared, credit can be taken by the scientists who have done work, they can publish papers. But please remember, for all the remaining work that you do on your own, you have every right to take whatever credit you want. But for the work that we do for the people, we should give right to them, because they have, in good faith, shared their knowledge. And I'm sure, have my colleagues shown you the databases that we have? No? Have you shown databases to them?
No, sir, on first session you have mentioned, but we have not shown to you.
No, we should show them. Let me show one database that Gyan and developed with the help of Honeybee Network Safety, grid.undp.org.in. And let me see if this is working. So let me share with you. So this is the database, and this is for innovation grassroots and for, let me write down pest, let us say, and we search. So we have different varieties which are pest resistant, control of Heliothrix, and let us see this practice in lady's finger. You're able to see? So this comes from this farmer, Kanti Bhai Bantar. He's located there. And then let's go further. What has he used? He has used fenugreek flour, methika atta, yeah, methika powder. It mixed with 2 liters of water and 2 liters of water and kept aside for 24 hours. Then this is spread on the standing crop and Heliothrix is controlled. Now this is a very interesting low-cost solution. Now you may say, why use methi flour? Let me identify something from methi flour which has more effective ingredient. And you identify the compound, and then you develop a concentrated version of that compound. And you say, but farmer did not develop this pesticide. He only was using flour. I have added the value to it. Correct. But who gave you the lead? You didn't think of yourself. So the basic R&D of connecting the solution to the problem was done by farmer, Kanti Bhai. You should get credit, surely, but for improving, for adding value, and you can become a scholar. You can write papers in your life and take credit for having done that. Nobody denies that to you. Kanti Bhai can be one of the co-authors of a paper. Is that clear? Everybody is clear?
Yes.
Any other question? I would like to now see the list of home experiments. If there's no question, we will move to the home experiments. Can you show me the list, Nika? थोड़ा बड़ा कर दो उसको.
Excuse me, sir.
You go ahead, Shana.
Sir, regarding home experiments, I had a question. So, in the form, there is this third section, I guess. It's written rationale of the study. I don't understand what do you have to fill in that section.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this experiment? What is the logic? What is the motivation, and what is the what is your assumption? Why? What will happen if it is corrected? If it is, there will be some logic for that, you know.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Now let us see what are the kind of thing people want to do. Alum and buttermilk on the pH of soil and plant growth. All right. That's interesting. So you can do that in your garden, in your flower pots. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
सर एक्चुअली मेरे दिमाग में जो आइडिया था वो ये था कि राजस्थान की जो सॉइल है वो हल्की सी एल्कलाइन होती है और जो बेसिक हमको जो पीएच चाहिए ज्यादातर प्लांट्स ग्रो करने के लिए, मैं सर एक जनरलाइज्ड फॉर्म में लेके चल रही हूँ, कोई स्पेसिफिक प्लांट के लिए नहीं। जनरलाइज्ड जो हमको चाहिए वो अराउंड 6.5 to 7.5 चाहिए होती है। और यहाँ पे जो मेरे एरिया में जो सॉइल है वो अराउंड 8 to 9.5 समथिंग वैरी करती है। तो मैं कोशिश करूंगी ये देखने की कि क्योंकि एलम की जो प्रॉपर्टी होती है वो पीएच कम करता है, कोलॉइड फॉर्म करता है, और तो मैंने सोचा कि ये शायद किया जा सकता है, तो मैं ये परफॉर्म करके एक बार देखना चाहती हूँ कि क्या इफेक्ट आएगा इससे।
एक काम करो, why don't you take me, you keep this, but
Yes,
let
sir.
us say in the very first week you figure out that it does reduce the pH, but it adds something else. Alum does something else which inhibits the growth. Let us say, for the sake of argument, I don't know. All right.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Then why would you not like to reduce some other alkalinity reducing sources? So you know that zinc sulfate, gypsum is used, well known.
Yes, sir.
But there could be other sources that you can try, which can also be used to reduce the alkalinity. For instance, some people have done, now what they do, we have to figure out. They grow Prosopis juliflora in the such soils, and that tree extracts the salts and makes the soil better. Now you can't do that experiment in 1 month,
Yes,
but you can find out whether the Prosopis beans or pods or bark, when mixed with soil, does it do that? So find out which are the other things that people do for reducing the alkalinity. Amla, for example, grows in alkaline soil. You know that?
Yes, sir.
Now, it may be a good idea if you can find amla, and you can try amla juice, which is acidic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So add other sources of alkaline reducing, and amla has a growth promoting property also.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
it helps us, and it might help the plants too. So my suggestion will be that make connection like this. Think of it. Okay, alkaline soil. What grows in alkaline soil? Amla. What is compound? What is amla's property? Is it acidic or alkaline? Is it acidic? It grows in alkaline soil. That means it is able to neutralize it. Which part of amla? Let me take amla juice, dilute it, and apply, and see. Correct?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
And that might become a very interesting new discovery. I have never
Yes,
seen
sir.
that. Similarly, think of other sources. Buttermilk, for example. You rot the buttermilk for a week.
Yes, I saw this. They kept the buttermilk in a container for around 5 or 6 days, and उसके बाद उन्होंने उसको dilute करके किया। ये सब सेम चीज मेरे घर पे भी होती आ रही है, लेकिन मुझे इसके पीछे का रीजन नहीं पता था। बटरमिल्क डाइल्यूट करके डाला जाता है, लेकिन उससे क्या हो रहा है, इंक्रीज तो हो रहा है, ये मुझे दिख रहा है, लेकिन क्यों हो रहा है और किस किस प्लांट पे ये कर सकता है।
और उसमें लिटरेचर भी पढ़ो बच्चे।
Yes,
try to
sir.
read, try to review literature, and do some experiments. Well, nice experiments. You can do these experiments for plants already growing, and you can also do them on germination rates. I mean, you can. I don't know. You know
Yes,
how
sir.
to make soil media?
सर लेकिन अभी घर पे
मैं बताता हूँ।
यस सर।
आपने कुकर लिया।
यस सर।
कुकर में मिट्टी को बैग्स में डालकर स्टीम कर लिया, स्टरलाइज कर लिया उसको बैग में डालकर।
यस सर।
अब जो मिट्टी है वो स्टरलाइज हो गई ना।
यस सर।
अब इस मिट्टी का अगर आप मीडिया बनाती हो, अगर आपको सीड का देखना है, कोई भी चीज के लिए देखना है, तो ये सॉइल तो अभी मैक्रोबियल तो इसमें माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म खत्म हो गए ना।
यस सर, यस सर।
तो अब तो इसके अंदर सिर्फ अब तो सिर्फ इसमें मिनरल्स बचे हैं। ठीक है ना, हमें तो मिनरल
Yes, sir.
चाहिए ना।
यस सर,
तो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म का जो इंटरेक्शन इफेक्ट है वो हमने न्यूट्रलाइज कर दिया ना अब तो।
यस सर।
तो इस तरह से हम कर सकते हैं। फिर उसकी आप पैटी डिशेस में डालकर उसको पैटी डिश या कटोरियों में या छोटे छोटे पॉट्स में जो भी हो उगा लो।
यस
क्या
सर,
होता है,
मैं
इंटरेक्शन इफेक्ट होता है ना। कई बार क्या होगा कि जो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म थे सॉइल में, उन्होंने काम किया, हमने समझा सॉइल ने किया,
यस
पता नहीं
सर।
चलता ना। इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ स्टरलाइज करना। You can take the normal soil also, but still it is useful to make as many conditions controlled as possible within the home condition. आपके पास प्रेशर कुकर है, वो आपका ऑटोक्लेव है।
यस सर।
ठीक है ना।
Yes,
आपके
sir.
पास डिकॉशंट है, बॉइलिंग करने का तरीका है, स्टीम निकालने का तरीका है, बहुत सारे तरीके हैं। आप ये मत सोचो घर में कुछ है नहीं मेरे पास, घर में बहुत सारे इक्विपमेंट है आपके पास।
यस सर।
हाँ, उनको यूज करो क्रिएटिवली और अच्छे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करो और हमको सरप्राइज करो। यू शुड सरप्राइज अस।
सर एक बार मैं फिर से इसको सेकंड थॉट देके
हाँ,
और
देखिए दोबारा से
आप
इसको रिवाइज
जी
करो,
सर,
रिवाइज
जी
करो,
सर,
रिवाइज
बिल्कुल।
करो।
थैंक यू सो मच सर।
गुड लक। अभी नेक्स्ट क्या है, मैं जब सबको नहीं देखूंगा, 2-4 देख लेता हूँ, फिर बाद में मेरे को लिस्ट भेज देना।
जी सर।
ये ऐसा करना, गूगल शीट शेयर कर देना, ताकि मैं जब कमेंट दूंगा तो बाकी सब स्टूडेंट भी पढ़ सकते हैं उनको।
हाँ ठीक है सर।
हाँ, तो फिर क्या होगा कि comment on one case may be relevant for other case also, so I don't have to repeat that comment.
ठीक सर।
हाँ, so this will be a Google shared sheet for all the entire class.
ओके सर।
तो अभी क्या सबने नहीं दिया है, क्या चक्कर है?
Sir, there are only 13 to 14 students.
बच्चों, please add your experiments as you have shown them the previous experiments already, isn't it?
Yes, sir. But by today evening, they all will fill this form.
Okay, very good. Because my worry was the time is passing. We started on 20th, today is 25th, 5 दिन चले गए.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't want that you should not get enough time to do your experiments. Of course, if your full results are not coming in the 3 week and you want to do it after 1 or 2 weeks, you want to send us a result, we will be happy for that. But at least some indication we should get.
Yes.
So that we can see that whether you're on the right track. And try to bring some innovative element. That will be very nice. And frugal solutions. These are all frugal.
Excuse me, sir.
हाँ, बोलो बच्चे.
Sir, I had an idea, but I was confused how to do it or what to do in it. Like at my home, what we do for our garden pots is we take rice water and we put some peels in it, like peels which are taken out from kitchen. We put it in sunlight for like 10 to 15 days, and then after that we use it for as a fertilizer. When it gets completely rotten, so it completely works, sir. But I just wanted to know whether the naturally prepared fertilizer which takes 15 days can be prepared artificially by using microwave or something like that for heating purpose than for colding purpose. Like is there anything which I can do? Because I was thinking
current summer 3 days your peel will get dried up.
Yes, sir. Sir, this is natural way of doing it. Then
no.
What
I'm saying is, if you want to use the powder, then drying is necessary, and drying in sun in current temperature will not take more than 2 or 3 days, say orange peel or any other peel. But you can also decompose them. Let's say you can make a slurry out of it. A grinder में grind कर दिया सारे छिलकों को.
Yes, sir.
That juice is made. Then you can ferment it. 3-4 days. 5 days, you can check at what, that will be an experiment. 3 days, 6 days, 9 days, and see which has more growth promoting property. Later
so
on,
like,
if you want to make a gel out of it, you can also try to make gel out of it. You can polymerize it. You can also try to polymerize it. Narayan Lal Gurjar, a student who came to BIIS last year, and my colleagues will share with you the video of that student. He was like you, he asked the same question. And in the space between the two dormitories in Agriculture University, Udaipur, in Rajasthan, he made a polymer out of the fruit and vegetable peels. And today he has a company, he got a huge investment from Japan. He's in Japan currently for internship, he has gone there. And they're investing in his enterprise. because they found it very useful for Japan itself. All this began with the question that you were asking just now, as to whether I can make the peel of the vegetable and fruit. And he was in second year. Which year are you in?
Second only, sir.
So look at that. So your question is in the right direction. You can find a better way. He didn't dry up. Maybe you can dry and see, they make a powder and see whether that has better effect. It's a good idea. Take it forward and do various combinations, various ways.
Sir, sir, one more thing, sir. What I was thinking that there are different grinders available in the market which are used for making biofertilizers. What we do, we take all the peels and all the biodegradable waste, we put it into it. It starts revolving, and after 24 hours, it provides us with biofertilizers, and we can directly use into our plants. So I just wanted to know whether I can use this 15 days gap, and I can reduce this to like 3 days or 24 hours and then use it for plants.
See,
तो इसको सर छोटे स्केल पे यूज कर सकते हैं हम लोग.
कर सकते हैं ना. कई बार क्या होता है, कंसंट्रेशन थोड़ा बढ़ा देंगे, देख लेंगे, क्योंकि थोड़ा लीचिंग होगा ना. We will allow for that. Our idea is to prove the concept. Initially, you are not developing a technology; you are proving the concept.
जी sir.
So home experiment should give you some indication. Then later on, you can develop a proper experiment.
Okay, thank you.
So go ahead and let me take one more case and then close. Somebody has mentioned about biodegradable packaging. Now that's a very interesting idea. I don't know how biofilm onion scale. That's a very interesting. Have you done that?
No, sir. I have
Pavitra?
to. I'm planning to start it today.
It's a very interesting idea. It's a very interesting idea. It's such a beautiful idea. I mean, the scale of the onion is very thin. And if you can make a long chain of that material and becomes like a biofilm, I think it's a great idea. Read more about it, but that's a beautiful idea. It's a beautiful idea. It's a very good idea. I wish you all the best, because this has huge potential. We will incubate your enterprise. If you succeed in doing that, we would like you to set up an enterprise on that. It's a beautiful idea.
Okay, sir.
So I'm happy. I'm happy with the direction in which you are all going so far. From what I have seen, I'm very encouraged. I'm very happy. I think you're going to show some very good results this year compared to last year. Last year, we had about 4 or 5 or 6 outstanding. This time, it may become difficult for us to select the 10. But you are in the right direction. You're in the right direction. You're asking good questions. Carry on. And don't hesitate in coming back to us. And if necessary, I'll come back to you again within next 2-3 days when your list is full. All right. And I would request Megha, Rucha, Swati, please you also do some homework and give them good feedback on each case, so that if they have missed some paper, let them read those papers on those ideas. These are very, very good practical ideas. I'm very happy with the problem that they have selected. It's very good. All right.
Okay.
Any comment before I close?
So, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
सर मुझे जानना था, जैसे मेरा एक्सपेरिमेंट ये करना था कि जैसे नैनो पार्टिकल पे था, बट दिस टाइम होम में तो नैनो पार्टिकल पॉसिबल नहीं है. जैसे
किसने कहा नहीं पॉसिबल? किसने कहा नहीं पॉसिबल? शाइला है क्या क्लास में? शाइला?
हाँ सर.
ये लड़की कहती है कि घर में नैनो पार्टिकल नहीं बन सकते हैं.
पर उसके लिए जो इंग्रेडिएंट्स चाहिए, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मुझे ग्रीन केमिस्ट्री यूज करनी है, मतलब जो पेस्ट वगैरह है उसको मतलब ट्रीट करने के लिए ग्रीन केमिस्ट्री का यूज करना है, तो उसके लिए कुछ मतलब सिल्वर नाइट्रेट जैसे केमिकल्स भी लगेंगे तो उसको.
नहीं, वो तो ठीक है. सिल्वर नाइट्रेट कोई मुश्किल नहीं है. सिल्वर नाइट्रेट टॉक्सिक होता है. सिल्वर के नैनो पार्टिकल्स बनाना तो बहुत आसान हो गया आजकल. हाँ, there are herbal ingredients which help you to make
कार्बन नैनो पार्टिकल्स बन जा सकती है.
नहीं, और अगर सिल्वर भी बनाना है तो बड़ा मुश्किल नहीं है सिल्वर का पार्टिकल बनाना. आजकल देयर आर हर्बल मीन्स ऑफ मेकिंग नैनो पार्टिकल्स.
आई विल गाइड अस सर इन दिस.
देखो, एक मैं तुम्हें पेपर भेज देता हूँ, अभी भेज देता हूँ. ये रिव्यू पेपर आज ही पढ़ लेना बच्चे.
यस सर, थैंक यू सर.
ये पेपर देखो, एक बार बताऊं, डोंट यू विल नॉट माइंड माय सेइंग दिस. हाँ बच्चे, You will not mind my saying this, isn't it?
No, sir.
What I'm going to say is, I'm used to an idea where students should tell me what review is there, which I should read, and then discuss with them. You understand the point?
Sir.
और अभी तो क्या हो रहा है, मैं आपको रिव्यू दिखा रहा हूँ, बच्चे, तो ये तो बात सही नहीं है।
सर मैंने बहुत सोचा उसके बारे में, लेकिन मतलब कोई आइडिया आ ही नहीं रहा था।
देखो मैं ये पूरा मैंने नहीं अभी कॉपी नहीं हुआ ठीक से, आई जस्ट कॉपी इट। आपको ये रिव्यू है पूरा, शेयरिंग विद यू रिव्यू ऑफ हर्बल नैनो पार्टिकल्स, ठीक है ना?
ये तो
रिव्यू ऑफ हर्बल नैनो पार्टिकल्स, इसको पढ़ डालो और इसको